speaking to players as much as you have over the last 48 hours, 72, 90 hours, what are you hearing, Jim?
Oh, everything that you're hearing and everything that you're seeing on social media and on TV. It's interesting. You know, the one thing I've been trying to get at is what makes 2020 different from 2016 when Colin Kaepernick first took a knee, and there were so many people who were afraid to demonstrate with him, and particularly white players who were afraid to publicly demonstrate with him or to even speak out on the issue. And so we do what we call press coverage. It's a weekly column where the writers from the digital group, we get together and we pick a topic and we talk about it. And I just asked, why don't we talk about what's going on in the country right now and address why we're hearing Carson Wentz speak out. We're hearing Ryan Tannehill, Derek Carr, Joe Burrow, even on the college level, Trevor Lawrence, and we went into it. And what's interesting is I finally got a response from Derek Carr yesterday when I asked, why are you speaking out now and you didn't 4 years ago? And, you know, he was very vulnerable and he was very honest with it and said, you know, he'd always been taught that when there were controversial issues like that where people were so polarized, you keep your head down and you just move forward. But based on the last 2 years in particular, it's just been heavy on his heart, and he just felt that it was time now. He felt compelled to speak out on these things, and, you know, that regardless of what the politics are, regardless of what anyone else is going to say. And it's funny, I hear people comment on my social media and say, well, he's 4 years too late or this, that, and the other. And my response is, I don't think you're ever too late to do the right thing, you know, paraphrasing Martin Luther King. So I applaud him and I applaud the others, you know, who have spoken out, and hopefully it helps lead to change more quickly than it might have otherwise.
Is it possible part of this, too, is just, again, that they were, you know, the only video back in 2016 was of Kaepernick taking a knee and the president referring to NFL players as sons of bitches, and now the video in 2020 is of knees on necks and jogging African-American men getting shot dead in the streets. Could that be part of it, too?
Yeah, you know, Rich, no question video is powerful, and we can go back to many instances, even, for instance, in domestic violence, where when you have video, it takes it to a whole nother realm. So, of course, that's a big factor. But for anyone to act like they were unaware that these things were going on when folks have been demonstrating and protesting, not just the last 4 years, but long before that, I think is disingenuous at best. I think conscious decisions were made, in my mind, to say, you know what, either I'm not going to get involved or it's not my fight, and I'm just going to choose to move on with my daily life. And that's the unfortunate part. I just wonder if more people had been receptive to the message that of why Colin Kaepernick was protesting back in 2016, might some of these killings that we have seen in the last 4 years have been avoided. And obviously there's no way to know that completely, but I can't help but wonder that. So again, what I'm trying to do is not get so focused back on 2016, but now see, okay, we are at this point in time. What can we do going forward? And, you know, my thing is, look, because, you know, we had a discussion with Kurt Warner 2 days ago about what can white people do who really want to make a difference in this. And I think, number one, you have to be willing to listen. Number two, you have to be willing to educate yourself. And number three, you have to be intentional in saying it's not just enough to say this isn't okay, but to identify the root problem here and then say, I am going to be committed to action to change this. And really, that's the only way I think we make change in this country.
Well, I've got Anquan Boldin on the show tomorrow, Jim, and he is definitely about the action and the active word and identifying bills that need to be brought up in state houses or bills that need to be repealed in state houses and so on and so forth. What is the NFL's relationship with him, his organization, other organizations that players have put together to actually put some of the statements that you said that in many parts rang hollow to put some action behind it? What are you hearing on that front?
Well, as you know, the NFL and the Players Coalition work together on issues, and they have the Inspire Change initiative. And the Players Coalition has made some tremendous strides, and we don't hear about them because they're not headline-grabbing. those sorts of things. But they're things that are critical in terms of addressing concerns and issues in minority communities in particular, whether it's changing in Michigan, changing the requirement for or preventing minors from being prosecuted under the age of 18, whether it's restoring voting rights to convicted felons after they've come out and been out for X number of years, and now they have a chance to participate in our electoral process. Whether it's out, fighting for the Clean Slate Act, which wipes away or seals, I should say, criminal records for so many people, or whether it's fighting to get more money, infused into public school systems to help with education in disadvantaged communities. They've done a lot of great work, and I think they're going to continue to do great work. And now some people will say, well, much of that money came from owners who just wanted to buy the players' silence and stop them from demonstrating. And there's no way for me or anyone else to say what was actually in the heart of these men and women who committed that money to these projects. All I know is that money is helping to make a difference in these communities, and that's what we have to be focused on.